Yes, I had to say
Yeah.
yes, because we are thankful for everything what has been done before in Europe, humanitarian support, and that decision, the last one, decision of unblock 3 billion euros, really huge investment to our strength, to our army and to our people, to our nation. And you did a lot. I cannot stop. That's why I think you're welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you also for receiving me all these times, and especially now. And as you know, we had our elections in Germany, so this is also a farewell. But it was important for me to be here also in these challenging times to underline that the outgoing government and the incoming government will continue together the pathway of the support for Ukraine, because as we have said all these years, but even more intensively right now, Ukraine is defending European security, European peace, so the continued support is an investment in our own security, and therefore the 3 billion in addition, amounting to 7 billion for 2025, but even more important, our constitutional change to enable that we have 500 billion for the next year, which is also open to support of European defense and the support of Ukraine, underlining that we are staying and standing with Ukraine as long as it takes, and that we can win peace only through strength all together. And therefore this is a farewell, but also a continuation of Germany's support in the upcoming government for the just peace, but also for EU membership, because this is also, I think, the pathway we have walked together in the last years, that Ukraine belongs to the European Union, and we will walk this path also together in the future.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Буде проспідхід.
Шановні журналісти, щойно завершилася зустріч.
Dear media representatives, the meeting of the President of Ukraine with the Ministry of External Affairs of Germany has just concluded. There will be brief introductory statements and then question and session. Good afternoon, dear media representatives. I myself am very happy that Minister Annalena Baerbock is on a visit with us here today in Ukraine. From the very beginning, I thanked Madam Minister for her already 9th visit during the time of the war, not just in the capital, in KYIV, but Madam Baerbock does know well what has been happening in the country since the start of the war. I'd like to thank her personally for strong support and contribution to the support of Ukraine. I'm very thankful to you, Madam Minister. We highly value everything related to humanitarian support, energy support, the deblocking of an additional package worth 3 billion. I do know of it being your great personal contribution. I'd like to thank you, Chancellor, the whole people of Germany for their consequential ongoing steady support. You're a very important guest for us in Ukraine. Thank you. And thank you for the new package. Nearly forgot to mention it. A very important package for 130 million. It's not just a matter of money. It's a matter of things important for us. Humanitarian, to support our power sector, to support our recovery. Thank you for this package as well.
Herzlichen Dank, Herr Präsident, für das.
Mr. President, I thank you for today's meeting, for the invitation, for the words of gratitude towards Germany. The past 3 years have shown the importance of friendship between Germany and Ukraine. Because of that, it has always been important for me to be here, because people in Ukraine stand for and fight for peace in Europe. We've always been saying that the Ukrainians are defending the freedom and peace in Europe. Whenever I come out here, I see this placard, "Be brave like Ukraine." This valor we've been witnessing in various corners of Ukraine. Train assistance in the train, children wanting to play volleyball. Everyone is saying they want to stay in the cities of their homeland. We know from the military servicemen about that. We know this from your words, Mr. President. Now my concluding visit in my current position is just to confirm that the outgoing government and the incoming government of Germany will continue supporting Ukraine in the military domain as well as in power, energy and humanitarian areas. This will make for a €7 billion worth package. Today we met children that had been abducted and returned to Ukraine. We see that Putin has continued bombarding and attacking. He doesn't want peace. We see that Ukraine agreed for a ceasefire, and because of that we will continue supporting Ukraine, because only through the support and strengthening of Ukraine a multifaceted peace may come. I'm very glad to announce that it is not about just military package, but about additional €130 million of additional humanitarian aid. It is also about UNICEF's support of Ukraine through a variety of projects, also through Annalena Zelenskiy Foundation. Fund similar to the one called Save Ukraine. From our understanding, it will be doing everything possible to further support Ukraine. You are fighting for the peace in Europe, and Ukraine belongs in the European Union. No war in the world will ever be able to destroy the friendship between Germany and Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. Now the mic for questions is in the center. Yeah, thank you. Greetings, Mr. President, Madam Minister. Thank you for this opportunity. My question is not just about support, but what about President Donald Trump has been saying for the second day. He's saying that Ukraine wants to trade the rare earths agreement for membership in NATO, and Minister Sybiga confirmed today that the agreement is there. It is being discussed with partners. So the first part of the question is, have some new elements of NATO membership emerged throughout the discussion of the document? What have been the discussions of that with partners? Also, these statements have been made on the background of visits of many European leaders to Ukraine, also in relation to contingent forces that will be used to keep peace in Ukraine. And this might be important in the context of these meetings here. Also, with your permission, dear Madam Minister Annalena, my question is regarding you. You've been declaring that this is your last visit in your current capacity, but the upcoming government of Germany will continue supporting Ukraine. Mr. Merz earlier said that Putin has to face strict limits, and if he does not stop his attack of Ukraine, then Taurus missiles will have to be provided to avoid elimination of the Ukrainians. Later on, he said that Taurus missiles can be transferred to Ukraine in collaboration with the UK and France. What are the prospects of having these missiles to come them in Ukraine? Thank you for your question. First of all, as regards the agreement, a new draft of this agreement that our teams, the Ukrainian one, the US one, are working now. Just to be specific, our lawyers are working on that. And I think as regards lawyers, it's about talking to teams from our ministers. They have legal companies working for them. And there's a number of strong legal officers. So who of them will be involved, it remains to be decided. As regards NATO membership, there's no mention of NATO in the agreement, has never been there. As regards the European Union, well, we are linking it to it. And whenever we mention this agreement, it may not go against our not just strive, not just our will, but our further future membership in the EU. It cannot be a separate document. Nothing has to be in contravention of it. I don't see any reason to discuss any risks on that until lawyers provide us with their opinion. At this stage of the document, we are finding ourselves now, so that's it. As regards contingent, as we call it, we're going to have a meeting on Friday. This will be a meeting of military teams from a very narrow circle of countries ready to place their contingent in this and that format. Because you know that there are land areas, there are air areas, and there's maritime area, and this will mark the first in-depth meeting of the kind. Before that, we have been having consultations, and at this meeting we are going to clarify certain aspects. Importantly, it will be based on the proposals prepared by the Ukrainian side, as it has been agreed, as it was agreed during the previous Paris summit. As regards the first part of your question regarding the rare earths agreement, we, the Europeans, have always been saying that there can be no peace in Europe behind the back of Europe and Ukraine. We are telling about the Europeans having to invest more in their own peace in Europe. They have to stand for their own peace. Actually, Ukraine's way towards the European Union is part of this way towards peace, and the reforms taking place in Ukraine are truly amazing. Some of them are quite important for us, the Europeans. It's about fight against corruption, freedom of the media. These are things that are important, and we cannot shorten anything of that, because we stand strongly for these freedoms of the Union, and Ukraine has complied with many of the first commitments, and we are opening the first cluster of negotiations with the European Union's recommendation, because the European Union is not just a union of freedom of peace, it is also about its internal market and about joint economy of it. Those who are not included in the internal market and its economic processes will be excluded from the future. So the matter is actually about it having to happen in unison with the European laws, also European laws of economic processes. Because of that, we continue working on this accession process. All the relevant steps will have to be agreed. We are also having in mind the recovery. We already provided certain funds for that. But this will happen only if it will develop within the scope of the European law. As regards Taurus missiles, as an outgoing minister, I cannot promise you anything. We've been talking about that all the time. You know the sayings quoted from positions of various parties, and the parties that are going to shape the new German government, who are going to elect their chancellor. It remains to be seen, based on what we've seen in the past months. We still see attacks. We cannot wait for missiles to come out, to fall on our heads, destroying our homes, hospitals, power plants. I had to survive it while staying in Kharkiv, and I can tell you that long-range weapons make a crucial component of cooperation between Europeans and the Americans, and this is how it should go in future. Hopefully, the future German Chancellor did mention it, and he spoke of that with Americans. We are now in a transition phase when agreements are being reached between France, the UK, Germany, and Ukraine on these matters. Mr. President, we see also from public opinion polls, from our talks with people, that many Ukrainians have no trust in Donald Trump. They don't see him as any assistant on the path towards the just peace. Yes, last year you had said that this year it might be possible to reach just peace. What is your take on the situation now? The Ukrainian people have doubts regarding Donald Trump. A lady, school teacher, said that the only guarantee she now trusts is a shelter and 12 feet of earth about. Well, we need to keep the union between the US and Europe in the assistance to Ukraine. This assistance is going on. It was suspended, then it was resumed. It's very important also in the context of missile strikes against us. We are working on that, and European leaders do this, and I surely agree with the Madam Minister that both, the French president and the leaders from the UK, Finland, Germany, other countries are in contact with the US president to prevent this union from shattering, or to prevent someone from breaking the union. Secondly, besides the current assistance, You don't understand that the support of Ukraine is about defense of security and security for you, the whole Europe, but we want this war to end as soon as possible. And I've always said that we're ready for a ceasefire. What Ukraine, the Ukrainian team has shown, demonstrated without any further details, extra statements. We did demonstrate it in Saudi Arabia, and the Russian side also presented Putin's not readiness to end this war. The pressure from the United States of America, or the attempts to do this pressure, have led to a second meeting that took place in Saudi Arabia, when the American side promised to the Ukrainian side that they've agreed no strikes on energy power objects and the ceasefire and at sea. We also said that the American side will work to bring back the Ukrainian kids and that more exchanges of POWs than captured civilians will happen. This is what we are agreeing on with the Americans. But if the American side is not successful with certain things, or if the Russian part will be lying to the American side, then they will increase their sanction pressure. And I think that we've just reached this moment when it is necessary to increase the sanction pressure, because the Russians have violated their promises to America. And as we are in the same information environment with you, I think you know all that. So we do hope indeed that President Trump has all the relevant instruments to strengthen the sanction pressure on the Russian side. It's very important here to have proper monitoring of performance of reached agreements. At the moment, we don't see any signs of high-level monitoring process. But we, from our side, practically on a daily basis, are using the level of various institutions to transfer informations regarding the violation by the Russian Federation of the promise not to strike energy facilities. And we are transferring this information to the United States of America. And we already see that America started understanding it bit by bit, and we'd like to see it more, not just in communication between our sides, because the Americans have been conveying to us information that they see how the Russians are breaching those agreements. But it's not enough for us just to have words. With all due respect to our strategic partners, for us it is very important to have sanctions. Things we have discussed with America, we are doing that. And what Russia has agreed upon with America, they're not doing that. They're violating it all the time, but it is us, only us, Ukraine, its people who suffer from it. So we do expect a very serious demonstration of sanction steps, at the very least, from the side of America. And then, only then, just to end with what you started with, when each of our sides will comply with its commitment, and by doing so will exert pressure on Russia, this is then when we will be able to reach just peace this year. We were almost together while in Kharkiv. The school that was built at the time, we were telling that we would not be leaving alone the kids in Kharkiv, those who were taking hostages and kidnapped. And unfortunately, it's not often mentioned in Germany, but there were mentions of recovery efforts, the recovery of the power sector, the recovery and restoration of heat supply. This school is operating in Kharkiv now. It is underground. And things we discussed that time about things to be done, we had to evacuate within seconds. And we, the Germans, we've been mentioning those things for 2 years. You know, today I met a girl I had met 2 years ago, and I was told that she was released from Russian captivity. And she told me, please never believe Putin's lies. We are going to do as we promised. We will never believe Putin when he is talking about him willing to peace, and only to continue with attacks against energy infrastructure moments later. We need to reach peace, and us in Germany, me myself as a representative of Germany, we say that there won't be any cessation of sanctions without peace. And when we speak about the meeting of foreign ministers of G7 countries, we also have in mind that there can be no preconditions for ceasefire. We, the Europeans, say that there should not be preconditions for any ceasefire. We, as Europeans, have to say even more clearly that the matter of peace in Ukraine is about security in the whole Europe. This corresponds to our personal interests. We do not want to listen to Putin's imaginative proposals. Before that, there had been African representatives who went to Russia after their visit to Ukraine, and they spoke about the need to restore and bring back kids before reaching peace. It was also mentioned during the meeting in Jeddah about the need to stop attacks of energy facilities. Because of that, we are going to continue supporting Ukraine to help you defend yourselves. I'd like to ask Mr. President, you know, if you noticed it, last night was the first for quite a lengthy period with no drone attacks. Do you see it as some manifestation that President Trump's threat of higher sanctions have started working, actually? Thank you for your question. Frankly speaking, I have no idea what were the reasons behind not using Shaheds and other long-range drones last night. Maybe because of some weather conditions, maybe because we provided the American side with the rather detailed information about the Russian trying to tell that Ukrainians are lying about the strikes against energy facilities, that it was their words that were lies, and that the Russians have been fighting our energy facilities. I think that probably the American side contacted Russians to talk about that, but I have no idea. There were strikes, there were FPV drones, unfortunately, yeah. Not long-range weapons, but FPV drones of Kherson region, and 40,000 households were disconnected from the main lines. I'd like to thank our power sector employees and engineers, technicians for the heartfelt work to restore it. But yeah, we haven't had these strikes, but we do not believe Russians, by the way. And by the way, what Annalena has mentioned is an interesting thing, actually. It's very important regarding the bringing back of our children. I'd like to thank for it. I'd like to underscore it that this is exactly the example. When Russians like they say about the power sector. Like they say about no one can monitor if the Ukrainians breach something. The example of kids is a very clear-cut one. If they are ready for a ceasefire, they want to stop the war, what prevents them from doing it without any sort of monitoring? Like bringing back those children, it's a very nice example, I would say, just to demonstrate their intention to end this war, or not.
Spiegel magazine. I wanted to follow up again on Taurus. Do you expect the designated Chancellor, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, to swiftly decide upon the delivery of Taurus systems to Ukraine once he enters office?
You asked about, did you ask about Taurus?
The Taurus.
Yeah?
Do you expect the designated Chancellor to decide quickly upon the delivery of...
No, we will work on it. We had some conversations. I don't want to go further to details before new Chancellor is in the office, so I think I will be able to answer on your question a little bit later.
But is that your hope?
Yes, of course. Of course. It's a little bit more than hope.
You expect it?
I can't find the right word. More than hope.
Between hope and expect.
More than hope on Merz. Thank you so much.
Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, Ukraine. Thank you. My first question is to Madam Minister. Western media published information recently about the Americans allegedly discussing with the Russians the restoration of Nord Stream operations. Do you have any information to confirm or disprove the involvement of Germany in that, and what is the Germany's position regarding the restoration of Nord Stream or Nord Stream 1 operation? And a question to you, Mr. President, just to specify, you mentioned the meeting come Friday, the first Franco-British mission with the military. What about contingent mandate? What can be expected to be discussed? And do you see it possible that without the US support of the idea of contingent, this will happen? How important is US support of Europe's moves?
Die Fehlentscheidung mit Blick auf
the wrong decision regarding Nord Stream 2 has been a hard pill to swallow for the German public. Together with our eastern partners, with the Ukrainians, Poles, Baltic states residents, we have always been telling that this project is not an economic one, but rather a preparation for some future aggression. At that time, it had looked differently from Germany, and we had to pay the price as a public, as a society. We restored our dependence on the Russian gas and crude oil, and Putin did turn this pipeline into a weapon against us, against Europe. He said he didn't want it to upkeep it anymore. We had to pay billions of euros. And now we understand that this pipeline cannot be revived into operation. This decision is in the hands of Germany. The outgoing government made the decision unanimously, completely unanimously, and you can see a complete consensus between democratic parties. We know from various sources of various speculations on the matter, but the central political forces in Germany, they do tend to clearly decide that Europe's economy and the European security are interconnected, and surely this war has become a huge burden, also economical one, on us, and without any doubt, such economic projects will never reappear again because they're dangerous for us, for our security. So doubtlessly when we are talking about sanctions, it is about sanctions in the power sector, with shadow oil as well, and we can no longer support and feed and replenish the Russian budget to allow them continue with the war. Again, we want to be independent from Russia. We know that we detained an oil-carrying vessel. We are monitoring these shadow fleet movements. Sometimes they try to slip beyond sanctions, and at times this leads to environmental disasters in the Baltic Seas. It's a threat to tourism for the Baltic countries, and it is important to remain vigilant in every area because energy matters are strongly linked to security ones. Yeah, by the way, there were meetings online, offline, in France, in the UK. We had discussions of it. I think that based on our proposals, we will be able to get more specific answers already this Friday. At least what I've seen from our military today, they're preparing for the meeting. I think that there will be a couple more meetings to discuss not just the contingent, but also the future force, to see the future of the Ukrainian army as a part of the continental security. We have our vision, our military have their vision, and today we had quite a lengthy discussion of it, about 2 hours. I saw certain things they presented, and from my opinion, me myself as a president, I don't know if our partners are going to support it. Many more meetings will be probably necessary, but for me as a president, this is satisfactory. As regards the American side, America has never ever mentioned their presence as boots on the ground in Ukraine after the end of the war, but this has never been taken away from the table. They have always been skeptical about the peacekeeper task force in general, also in terms of Europe. This is there. But yeah, everyone is willing to see America present across Europe in this or that shape or format. As regards Ukraine, the in-depth intelligence efforts, exchange of data, satellite communication, innovative technologies, investments in our domestic production, the presence in the air, and the defense of the skies. I myself discussed the defense of the skies with President Trump. I mentioned it. I said him that for me, it is also a presence, a huge presence. So if we can provide total coverage of the skies in Ukraine with Patriot systems, it will become a very strong contribution of the United States of America in the security guarantees. To say that we are looking into various options. Everyone, the whole Europe, would love to see a U.S. presence. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Minister. The press conference is over.
Колеги,